Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Today, my podcast wouldn't be a podcast without a poem. And this poem, or should I say song, is from the legendary Jill Scott from her album To Whom It May Concern. And this is The Math.
Could it be we be buying dreams to disguise what we don't have? Could it be we worship things that ultimately can't last? Could it be we sabotage love cause it hurt us in the past? Could it be we can't clearly see what to subtract and what to add? You do the math, 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 and see what you get. Could it be we flee responsibility? All cause mom and dad made us sad. Hear me now. Could it be we give up on justice? Cause the program so dynamic. Somebody. Could it be we're suffering in low esteem and no standards? Could it be? Could it be? Could it be that our ugliness is our favorite bad habit? You do the math, 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 you do it, you do the math. See what you get, see what you get, see what you get. You do the math, you do the math, you do the math, you do the math. Subtract the fake from the real, see how you feel. Multiply kindness and harmony, see how you breathe. If it makes things better for you, baby. You do the math, that's all I ask. You do the math, you do the math.
And that was The Math from Jill Scott from her album To Whom It May Concern. And I thought that poem/song was appropriate for today's podcast. And I'm going to talk about the good people. Let me say that one more time. The subject matter for today is the good people. And I was inspired to do this podcast based on what I've been observing in the world and the confusion I feel has plagued my mind. And between just, let me be frank, trying to understand people and changing my focus. And I'm a little nervous, I guess, because I'm really trying to figure out how I want to approach this subject. But I know, I'm just going to be honest. I'm searching for the good people. But then I realized I wasn't focused on the actual good people in my life, past and present. And I think that's what we all should be doing at this time. And when I say good people, I mean good people of all races, ages, colors, backgrounds, those people. Not to single out any race. It's a race of good people. And I feel like at this time in our lives, with the way the country is and the way the world is, that we need to focus on the good people and find out who we are. Are we good people? And I say this because there are good people in our lives that we cross paths with that we don't give accolades to. We don't give acknowledgement to. And I think we need to focus. I know we need to focus on those people. The people that give us love, support, encouragement, just people that we call on. Sometimes it can come in the form of a stranger, somebody that does something for you that you needed or tells you something, or people that give us wisdom. Those are good people. It's not always about monetary value or things that people can give us in terms of a tangible thing. But even now, Juneteenth weekend has made me more reflective of people that have been good to me, people that have poured into me that weren't black, that weren't white, or just those people. I mean, what I mean by that is that it was all forms of people that have poured into me through my life. And again, they weren't one race. Some of them were gay, some of them were straight. Like I said, older, younger. And a lot of us seem to focus on the bad people in our lives, the negative. And I feel like we give those people too much power. And I have to say, I was online last week, and there was somebody online that popped up on my feed, who shall remain nameless, that I had a past relationship with, a friendship with. And it made me angry to see this person. It made me really, really angry to where I wanted to say something online, be combative and have a clap back and all this other stuff. But I don't normally do that. And I felt the need to do it. I wanted to say something. I wanted to contradict what they were posting. And then I thought, that's not what I want to be known for. That's not what I want to be. That's not what I'm working hard for. And people know who this person is, and they may not be aware of who they are, but we know who they are. And they don't need any help from me to acknowledge that. Plus, I will be giving him the power over me. Why is this person upsetting me so much? Why am I allowing this to change my day, my mood? And then you have to get back and focus on the good people in your life. Like I said, past and present. And I've started reaching out to people that I haven't talked to in a while that did make me feel good. I had a good energy from them. Because like I said, I'm struggling right now. I'm very transparent about that. Like I said, my depression, anger, anxiety, I'm much better than I was a week ago. But changing your focus is a daily job. You have to get up every day and make a decision about who you want to be in the world. And I'm very conscious of that. But I'm praying about it because it's not easy for me. Some things are effortless for people to do. And it requires a lot of work on my part. But I'm hoping and praying that it gets to a place that it won't be so difficult to be the kind of person I want to be, the person I'm striving to be, to where certain things don't affect me. So I want you to realize who the good people are in your life and just acknowledge those people. Hey, how you doing? Just because, again, I feel like we've spent a lot of time focusing on negative people again. And when I look back over my life, I realized there was a lot of really, really good people that poured into me, that made me this person. And I want to acknowledge those people. And if they're listening, they know who they are. They know. Because again, I I'm nothing without those people. You know, like I said, and let me give it a definition of a good person. A person that just lets you be yourself. You know, they see the good in you. They see the potential in you, and they cultivate and they nurture that. You know, they're not insecure. They're not intimidated by you. They really, really want to see you do well. And that's in any aspect of your life. If you're going back to school, if you're in a relationship, if you're getting married, if you're having a baby, they're encouraging you to be better. But they're also saying, I'm here for you if you need me for anything. And they really genuinely mean it. You know, and I haven't really met really new people like that. And unfortunately, I feel jaded because I feel like I allowed a lot of people in my life that shouldn't have been there. And I dismissed or ignored a lot of the good people that were trying to be in my life. And that's my one regret. And I'm switching it up a lot. And I'm getting back to the people that really want to be in my life, that really want to be my friend, that really want to be supportive of me. And I found myself saying things online about white people. And I'm in no way prejudiced or racist because, again, I've had a lot of, and I don't want to say a lot of white people. I've had a lot of, like I said, good people that happen to be white. And I feel like it offends them when I say something that's blanketed like that. And there are certain types of white people that I just don't like. And there are certain types of black people that I don't like, and Hispanic, and so on and so on. And I'm not going to say the whole race is representative in these particular people. And just like, you know, same thing with me, I don't represent all black people. I'm just a black man trying to make it like everybody else. And my whole point in this podcast is that I know there's a lot of division and anger and resentment toward a lot of different types of people right now. But again, we have to weed out the people that really are against us and find the people that are for us. And they might not look the way we expect them to look, you know. And again, I'm speaking to myself, especially because, again, there's a large amount of distrust in me. I don't trust anybody. I don't really allow people to get next to me. And that was years and years of disappointment and deceitfulness, and people that have just done things to me that have made me feel this way. But I still love people at the end of the day. You know, I do. But I want people to reach out to me and say, hey, Mose, I like what you're doing. And I'm in a place where I feel like anybody that gets close to me now has to be approved by God. And what I mean by that, I don't mean they have to be religious or deeply like me in terms of spiritual, anything like that. They just have to be a good person. You know, I'm not allowing anybody in my space. I don't care who they are, coworker. If I feel any kind of negative energy, any kind of negative anything, you know, I'm just not doing it. Which gets back to the song, why I picked that particular song from Jill Scott. It's called The Math. And at first I didn't get it, but it's about adding and subtracting people from your life, you know, and it doesn't get any simpler than that. You do the math. You figure out who needs to be there and who doesn't. And it doesn't matter, like I said. And I know we all seem to focus on our relationships when we talk about letting people go or, you know, getting divorced or, you know, breaking up with somebody. You have to do the math across the board. It might mean quitting a job, subtracting a job for your life, subtracting a negative friend from your life. It could be a family member you need to subtract. So it's not always about the relationship, you know, the romantic relationship, because I feel like we spend a lot of time focusing on our romantic relationships. But I feel like romantic relationships, you kind of go in knowing that it might not work out. You don't think that, but you have to do the same thing with friendships too. You know, I feel like you really have to be selective now about who you have in your life, because I don't need nobody to gaslight me about anything. I don't need nobody to help me be upset I don't need anybody to, magnify my anxiety. If I'm around you and you're making me feel worse, then I don't need to be around you. And I'm the kind of person now, I'll just ghost you. I'll just disappear. If I feel like you're not going to receive it and I don't value this relationship like that, you're just never going to see me again. So I don't feel the need to have the last word. And I got to tell you why you hurt my feelings. If you a grown person and you don't know, and if I've told you that this bothers me and you continue to do it, then we have no need to talk. Now, if I value the friendship, then I will say something. But once I stop arguing, once I feel like I'm done, I don't need to be right. You can be wrong all you want. I'm very selective now. And it's important to me to be selective about having good people in my life. And like I said, older, younger, fat, skinny, I don't need them to look a certain way, to walk a certain way, talk. I don't even need them to be degreed. I don't have requirements of people other than just to be good, because I'm gonna be good to you. That's a guaranteed promise. I can tell you, if I'm your friend and I tell you that, I said what I said, and I'm talking about ride or die. So it's kind of one of those things and I don't tell people that. If you've never heard me say it, then I don't really consider you my friend. You were an acquaintance, an associate, somebody I know, but you don't know me. And I'm getting better at looking and acknowledging the good people. And again, that's because I was online. I've been online. I keep seeing all this negative energy from people. Everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's talking about everybody else. And I'm thinking, well, where are the good people at? What are they doing? And it's just one of those things. I was losing myself because I was trying to figure out, who am I? Am I those people? And you really have to, again, consciously decide who you want to be in this world. I'm a firm believer you have to decide who you are. Because if you let the world tell you who you are, then you're lost, completely lost. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to let the world tell me who I am and why I am. And although I struggle with my depression and my anger, and I really do. It's not something that is going away anytime soon. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed to say, I'm going through some really challenging times, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I believe God is still good, but I question my direction. I'm not sure where I'm headed. I'm really not. Actually, for the first time in my life, I've raised my hands up and said, okay, God, I'm going to wherever you want me to go. And I'm not forcing a direction anymore. And I've never done that. Is this easy to do? No, it's not. I'm actually mortified because I don't know what that means. Where am I headed? What am I supposed to be doing in the meantime? Am I doing it? Am I doing it right? So if you're out there listening, just sometimes take a minute to stop and breathe. And that's the other thing I'm doing. I'm resting. There are more days I'm not doing anything. I do my work. I do my creative part. And then I rest. I take a nap with my dog, and I take a step back from the world. I log off, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to sleep. And don't sleep on sleep. I said what I said. Don't sleep on sleep. Sometimes you just have to disconnect and rest. And you don't have to acknowledge it to anybody. You don't have to explain it. Sometimes you just have to step back and just breathe. And this is something I've been practicing. I've been exercising, creating, and praying every day. Exercise, praying, and creating. And I don't care what that looks like. I went out with my camera yesterday and on Juneteenth, and I just took pictures. And I call it looking for God. You've heard me mention this before. I go out and I just take pictures of everything random, everything that looks like God might be in it or behind it. Whether it's a piece of art or nature, whatever it might be. I have to escape. I have to escape. I can't afford to go anywhere right now as far as vacations, and I can't travel like I really want to. So sometimes you have to travel in your mind, even if it means reading a good book or watching a good TV show that takes you away for a little bit. But you have to disconnect. Disconnect from the negative and reconnect with the positive. Have to. I mean, I believe now more than ever, we have to do that. And it's not about agreeing with me. It's okay to disagree with people. That's another thing. When do we get to the point where you have to think the way I think? You know, I've never been that person where we just have to agree to disagree. You know, we don't have to have the same viewpoint or the same attitude about certain things. My thing is, that's what's going on. People are feeling like we have to take sides. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm on the side of the right, you know. But is it right, though, at the end of the day? You know, and I always used to say when my friends would ask me for advice, my friends with family, whether it was a single mom, single dad, married couples, I would always say, does it benefit you and your family? Whatever hard decision you got to make, does it benefit you and your family? Or if you're by yourself, does it benefit you? Because if it doesn't, then you shouldn't be doing it. That's my answer to anything. I don't care what it is. If it doesn't benefit you, why are you doing it? Ask yourself why you're doing it. And the other thing, a friend of mine years ago said to me, we were talking about relationships and friendships. Ask yourself, you know why you're in the relationship with whoever it might be, but why are they there? You know, it's like, ask them, like why are you here? Are you here because you want to be my friend? Are you here because you want to be my partner, my significant other? Why are you here? Because at the end of the day, if you know why you're there, what your reasoning is, don't feel bad about that. You know, I think we focus on people being, you know, oh, you're stupid for being in that relationship, or you're stupid for being there, caring about that person. I believe if you love somebody, you love them completely. Because I'm not going to sit up here and say Moses perfect. Loving me is a challenge. I'm not easy to love. You know, I can be a real bitch sometimes when I'm in a bad mood. I can be snappy. I can be all of those things. But I need you to love that person too. You know, my past, my present, I can be emotional. I can be, you know, venomous with my mouth if I'm angry. I can say some things that I'm not proud of, that I'm going to mean. Because I want to hurt you. I want to say some things to hurt your feelings. And I don't get that angry, but I'm capable. Now, I wouldn't physically hurt anybody, but unless I had to. But at the same time, again, if you love me and you want to be my friend, you got to take me as I am. You know, now I don't believe in disrespect or anything like that. But when you love somebody as a whole person, don't feel bad about that. I don't believe in that. I do believe that, especially if you're in love or in relationship with another black person, we have our challenges. We just do. And if you're dating someone or in friendship with somebody that's black, I'm not to say accept everything about them. I'm saying go in knowing you're going to have a challenge. And you have to accept whether you can appreciate or even overlook those challenges. Because again, I'm not easy to get next to. Once you get next to me, you can have anything that's mine. But I'm not easy. You know, and I think again, if I say I'm your friend, I'm your friend. I am the friend that's going to visit you at the hospital. I'm the friend that's going to, if you're in a drug rehabilitation center, I'm going to come visit you. I am. I'm going to make time to come visit you. I'm going to see how you're doing. I'm going to say what you need me to do to help you. You know, it's like I choose to be this person. I've always been this person. I'm a good person. I'm part of the good people group. And I love that. And that's what I realized. I'm a good person. You know, I am that friend. And you have to decide which side of the fence you're on. Because there are good people that I see online. I'm always saying, congratulations, good job. I love telling people that. I'm proud of you. I don't get anything out of not telling people that. I love telling people congratulations, good job, excellent, especially when they're Black. Because again, to have any level of success, like I said before, in this country, as a Black person, is phenomenal to me. The shit that we have to deal with on a daily is just, I don't care if you're rich, poor, old, young, gay, or straight. It doesn't matter. We have to deal with some shit in so many different forms every single day. But it's words actually. I was watching the Obama presidential tribute of his in Chicago the other day. And I was looking at Michelle, or listening to her speech to her husband, President Obama, and she said something about quiet dignity. And I never thought about it that way. And it made me realize I have a lot of quiet dignity. And that's what it is. There are a lot of us out there that are exuding quiet dignity. Excuse me. And that's what made me not reach out or say something negative online, because I don't want to be known for that. Now, I can be frank and unapologetic, but it's for the good. It's for the good, and there is a quiet dignity that I love about myself. And I'm humble, I'm prideful, but I'm also proud of myself. I'm proud. It's not to be confused with arrogance. I'm proud of the things that I've accomplished in my life. I will never let anybody take that from me. There's nothing wrong with sticking your chest out and holding your head up high, because you've done some great things. If you've raised some great children, be proud of that. Whatever it might be, don't let anybody take away your accomplishments or, there's a difference between being boastful and proud, genuinely proud, especially if you got God behind you. If God is supporting everything I do, what can man do to me? Honestly. And like I say, anytime I'm in front of an audience of people, even when I do my podcast, I know God loves what I do, and he knows what my intent is, what my heart is. I want to provoke thought in people. I'm never going to do a podcast where I'm just telling you, whining about this and whining about that. I'm telling you I'm angry and I'm struggling, but I'm telling you what I'm doing about it. I'm not just wallowing in self-pity and I just did this. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you, I made a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Like Jill say, I did some dumb shit, and we all have, and we will still do it. But you get back to business and you check yourself and you get back to it. And you might have friends that'll check you. And I have to say, sometimes my partner will say something to me and I'll get mad, because if it's the truth, it really pisses me off. But I know he means well. And it's like one of those things that in the beginning of our relationship, I didn't always like him telling me things that may have had a level of truth to it, because it stung a little bit. And he's a lot more direct than I am when it comes to, I'm always trying to maybe sugarcoat, or how do I say this? And I say that it probably sounds weird me saying that, but when it's sometimes I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I've learned a lot from him. Sometimes you just need to say what you need to say and find a way to say it the way you need to say it. But again, it gets back to being a good person. And that's the other thing. The good people are always never who you think they are. And what I mean by that, sometimes it's not the person sometimes the meanest person is the nicest person. And sometimes the nicest person is the most deceptive person. And you have to discern which is which. And all bad people aren't genuinely bad. They may be really good. You have to figure those people out for yourself. And I just want to say to all the good people that are listening to me, that say something to me, that online, offline, I appreciate you. I genuinely appreciate you. People that do business with me, buy t-shirts from me, pictures, books, anything. I consider you a friend. Especially now in this economy, any money that doesn't have to be spent, that's spent on something of mine, is appreciated. I really appreciate it, and I thank you in advance. Which brings me to my store, my Etsy store. Please check out my shirts. I'm very proud of the t-shirts I've designed. I've taken some things down. I'm doing some reconstruction in my store, but I have my shirts up right now. So if you want to swing by and get you some summer shirts, some summer wears, I'm very proud of that. They all designed by me. And again, another part of my creative self. But as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer and closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Thank you for listening.